tonight, please do not do it on company property. Go into the Rite Aid parking lot.
We're talking Rite Aid, baby, make it all night. Flim, flim, flim.
Right. The 2016 Christmas classic, Office Christmas Party. This movie gets a lot of hate that I
Does
see
it?
on the internet. Like, it doesn't score well, and like I actually spent some time and like read the reviews, and like the main thing I take away is just like, you guys were expecting a lot from this.
What the fuck do people say about it? I can't believe that. I would think that people really like this movie, but then again, I mean,
It's
I haven't looked it up, so
it's weird. It's like they were expecting, I don't know, some deep, message that's laced with comedy, and I don't know. It's weird. Like, when I saw the trailer for this movie, and then every time I've watched it since, I'm just like, this is the Christmas version of The Hangover. Like, it's just insanity, and that's why it's so great.
yeah, I mean, it's basically like Christmas is incidental to the plot. My personal opinion, I think it's more close to Project X, but I know you haven't seen that, right?
I need to.
I think this movie is like, I don't know how it was pitched, but I would imagine it would be like, what if Project X took place at an office? Because Project X is about a kid who's going to throw a party and his parents leave and he's not supposed to do it, right? Just like this movie, they're not supposed to throw the party and they're like supposed to be saving all the money. Jennifer Aniston is like the parents.
Yeah.
And so in Project X, they throw a party, but one of the guys goes buck wild and like posts the fucking thing on Craigslist, calls radio stations, like he promotes the shit out of it. So like, I mean, like hundreds of thousands of people show up. Like it's an insane party and it gets so
Yeah.
out of control and the place gets destroyed. And it's like basically exactly what happens in this movie. It's pretty incredible. And then even one of the guys from Project X, who's like the problem kid, the friend who causes all the trouble, he's in this fucking movie. He's one of the
Oh.
who doesn't believe the dude who has the girlfriend, the fake girlfriend that he has to hire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's like the shorter one who's like, I mean, he gained weight between this and Project X, so I didn't recognize him right away. But then I was like, holy shit, it was the voice. Like that was how I knew. But you should watch Project X. It's a very similar vibe, and I fucking love both of those movies. So
All right, I'm gonna do that, or maybe we'll do an episode on it. Yeah. So I mean, right off the bat, I think we need to maintain some consistency here. Um, this is not a Christmas movie. It only has Christmas in the title.
it's like Die Hard.
Yeah, it actually shares at least the circumstantial plot of Die Hard, where it's an office Christmas party.
Yeah, they do have that in common. That is a great point. But in the same way that like you can say all day that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but it's really not. It's
not.
just Christmas is incidental. It happens on Christmas. That does not make it a Christmas movie. And that is like, I think the big point is maybe I can't believe people would be disappointed about that. Because watching this movie, I was like, forget fucking Christmas. This is hilarious. And it's still kind of festive. So
Yeah. I mean, TJ Miller is in a Santa costume the entire time.
I mean, as somebody who's worked in an office, I think maybe I just relate to it a lot more, but I really felt like this movie was perfect.
Okay, so that was one of the things that this really reminded me of. So I'm gonna do a little story time here, quick. I won't name the company that I worked for, but we had an office Christmas party that was insane, and not quite like this, but we did have an ice luge, and you remember the eggnog luge in this?
Oh, do I remember? Yeah, that was disturbing every time I could see it.
That's probably one of the most graphic things I think I've ever seen in a movie.
I mean, yeah, that was it. It was a fucking ice sculpture, but I felt really disturbed. Like this was a hardcore porno all of a sudden. It was the eggnog. That was really the worst thing that I could see come out of there.
But so at this party, we had this giant ice luge that we were taking shots out of. Not in the same way of that, but everyone at this party just got totally drunk out of their minds. And for some reason, this party was like on a Thursday or something. So we had to come in the next day totally hungover. And the party got so wild and people got so drunk, they just forgot to take care of the ice luge. So we go into the office the next day and the kitchen is just covered in water. Like this ice luge was like no joke. It was like 10 feet tall.
Oh
So
my god.
everyone just left and it melted overnight.
That is the problem with getting blackout drunk. At least I think they mention in this movie that they have a cleanup crew, and just for somebody with anxiety, I think that made me feel better. Because,
Mm,
like, as much as I love these kind of movies where it's like an out of control party like Project X, gives me a lot of fucking anxiety watching them destroy shit and like ruin things. It's
yeah.
really stressful, but then it's always really fun and like throughout it, you know?
Hmm. So I love this movie. It is so funny. There's only two things that I don't like about this movie. And I don't like them, but everything else I love so much that I'm okay with it.
There's so much good in this movie, but I agree with you that there's, like, at least 1 or 2 things that, like, if I have to pick something, those things would be problems, but I don't really care.
So the first thing is the whole electricity internet storyline. I'm just like, we don't need this. Like,
Yeah.
is
I couldn't follow it, so I have no idea. I'm sure that it's not sound logic, like, it just didn't really I was like, "Using lights for fucking Wi-Fi? I don't get it."
I was just like, is this the only way that you guys can figure out how to get them back to the office? Like this, we have
Yeah.
to go back and see the wreckage and like all this stuff. The one thing I did like rewatching it this time is her figuring out like the one thing that she was doing wrong and then she changes one thing and then it totally works. I was like,
Mhm.
this reminds me of Avengers Endgame when Tony Stark figures out time travel just like in an hour.
Yeah,
it's like
I know.
it's like, oh, I didn't think about this one thing. Oh yeah, this time travel. We can easily do that. I just pushed a button and figured it out.
Well, it's because it's a fucking movie and they can't have, like, a real world, like, "Okay, this is gonna take me a fucking while," and he's gonna, like, really get stressed over it, try and figure it out. It's gonna I mean, it would take forever to really show that, and it
Yeah.
would be hella boring. It's way better to be like, "Oh, something that somebody else said just triggered my brain because why wouldn't I think about that?" Like, no
Yeah.
shit. If you're really that smart, I feel like you would have considered it, or at least asked somebody. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Looked
Yeah.
it up. You could find anything on the fucking internet. Just saying.
So the second thing that I'm just like, I don't believe this. This nope, doesn't work. Um, Jason Bateman and Olivia Munn in no reality. Nothing against Jason Bateman. He's an older guy and he's not like a Brad Pitt looking older guy
Yeah.
or a Chris Pine looking older guy.
Chris Pine is not that old. He's younger than fucking Jason Bateman.
Oh, well, I mean, he looks like a hot old guy in Don't Worry Darling, but
He's still, I would say, even he's like around the same age as like Chris Pratt.
mm,
He was just in fucking Wonder Woman. He's not like Harrison Ford doing Indiana Jones at like 85 or whatever the fuck.
all right, I don't know. I'm just saying he's going to age very well.
I'm apparently really upset about this, Jace. I'm sorry. I didn't
Apparently.
realize. But I have to agree with you that like Jason Bateman is not an ugly guy and that, but he's just not the kind of guy that you date old guys for.
Yeah, he's a very normal looking person, and Olivia Munn is not a
No.
normal looking person. It's really just the age gap. I'm just like, I don't see this. And it's not a reflection of their acting at all. Like they're both funny in this movie. I think Olivia Munn is underrated in her comedy. She's awesome in New Girl when
Yeah.
she's in a couple episodes and you know like Jake Johnson, Nick in New Girl, he's a very like normal looking guy. But I actually believe that relationship because their dynamic worked. Also, their age is pretty close. But yeah, it's just Jason Bateman looks like an older guy, and she looks like a not old girl.
Yeah, she's like, if you're gonna date old, you're going like, it's got to be Brad Pitt, Johnny
Yeah.
Depp, somebody really hot still. That's like top level hot, right? Like that,
Yeah.
like Leo hot. I mean, he's fucking like 50. If
Yeah.
he's not 50, he's almost 50. I would be surprised if he's not, but he looks
Yeah.
fucking sexy still. And he's obviously he has a fucking age limit of 25, right?
True
So
story. So, but this made me think though, Jason Bateman does a lot of good movies. And I started thinking about some of the other women in his movies that are like his love interests. And I'm like, Jason Bateman just has like a long list of like, I don't believe these relationships. These women are gorgeous, and you look like a very normal aged dude.
Yeah, this happens with a lot of other guys too, like Jason Sudeikis and other stuff like that.
So here's some of the ones that I looked up. Rachel McAdams in Game Night, which
Yeah.
I actually kind of believe that one, mainly because of their characters. But
Yeah, but she's still a lot
oh
younger.
yeah, she's way out of his league.
Better than her and Benedict Cumberbatch in Doctor Strange, I'll give him that.
Yeah. So Rachel McAdams, then Olivia Munn, Rebecca Hall, Tina Fey, Olivia Wilde, Leslie Mann, Kristen Bell in Couples Retreat.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They were, like, way like, their energy was very similar in that
Yeah.
movie, but yeah, he's a lot older than her.
Then Mila Kunis,
What was that in?
Extract.
Oh my god, yeah, okay, I've seen that a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Then Charlize Theron in Hancock.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And then the last one that I kind of put on here is Jennifer Garner in Juno.
Oh, yeah, you're right, and he's a total dick in that.
He's paired up with like some of those beautiful women that we've seen on cinema.
Well, and at least he's in at least 5 this was his 5th movie that he did with Jennifer Aniston because they're,
Mm.
like, really close friends in real life, so they love to work together, whether they're, like, either, like, full parts sometimes they play the romantic lead, and I'm like, "What?" Like, there's a movie of, like, where he switches his sperm with, like, her donor,
Oh yeah, the change up.
the change up, and then it's like she falls in love with him, but I'm like, "What a creep." But either way, it was really funny because I was mentioning that to my boyfriend Nolan last night when we watched this movie, and I was like, "Yeah, like, so he's done 5 movies with Jennifer Aniston now," and he goes, "Yeah, totally. I know they've been in a ton of movies together, but, like, the only one I can think of is We're the Millers," and I was like, "That's Jason Sudeikis, dumbass." It's not even the fucking right guy, and he just, like, lost it because he was like,
Oh.
"Oh my god, yeah, the one person he can name is, like, not even fucking the person that we're talking about." That's on par.
Oh my god. Well,
Should we
so
also pivot now to Jennifer Aniston?
yeah. What do you got to say about Jennifer Aniston?
I just love when she plays an evil bitch.
I think this might be my favorite role of hers. This and Horrible Bosses. It's these two. Yeah.
I think Horrible Bosses for me is better, but she's also, like my favorite scene of this movie is her with the little girl when she's, like, calling Santa because he's a
Yeah.
little bitch.
And she's being a little shit here in the first class lounge. So I think we should cancel all of her Christmas presents this year.
I fucking love that scene. That was so hilarious, and I love that she just destroys that little girl. It's so good. Like, and then she just says, "Fuck you" to her at the end. It's so good.
Fuck you.
I love when she gets to play a bitch, and, like, even the little things when, like, they're at the conference meeting at the beginning of the movie,
Mhm.
and she's, like, tells TJ Miller to sit, and he's like, "I prefer to stand," and then she's like, "Okay," and then she has, like, the intern, like, fucking remove his chair
Yeah.
from the fucking room. I was like, "That's so good." Just little things like that. She's great.
I just love when she does Krav Maga on the two mobsters and beats the shit out of them.
That's what I'm saying, dude. She's great. I love
Uh,
Jennifer Aniston when she gets to have fun and play an evil bitch.
yeah, I like Jennifer Aniston when she gets to do things other than be Rachel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston is amazing. TJ Miller is hilarious in this. I mean,
He is fucking hilarious.
was this the year that he got canceled? Because like I only really know him from this movie and Silicon Valley, and I remember he got written out of the show.
Yes.
Was that this year?
No, this movie came out 2016?
Yeah,
Okay, so this was in 2018, at least the articles that I was reading about the past year, so it could have been 2017 when it happened.
I'm dumb. Yeah, it wouldn't happen this year. It would happen following this movie because he was a big
Yeah,
deal at this time. So okay, yeah.
exactly. That's why he was starring in the movie.
But when did that happen?
So it was either I think a lot of it happened in like 2017, 2016, 2018. So I don't know. I think it was either like right when this movie came out, or right after. But like just to sum up what the fuck, because I looked it up and I was like, this gets more insane by the sentence.
I didn't actually follow what happened to him at the time, so I'm curious. What?
Okay. So basically, in 2017, he was accused of sexual assault by a woman and he denied this. And then a year later, he was accused of bullying a fellow actor on Silicon Valley. I don't know who it was, but that's why he was written off the show, is because he was a total bully on set and
Mm.
maybe on drugs or something. And then it says in 2018, he was arrested for allegedly making a fake bomb threat while on board an Amtrak train.
What?
And then it says that the federal charges were later dropped, citing his past brain surgery as a factor. And I was like, what?
This is like the Yule log. Just everything
Yeah.
that happens is crazy.
It literally just gets more like crazy and intense as it goes along. But yeah, that's just like, we don't have to get into all of it. But when I saw the highlights, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like the cancellation is definitely just, but I don't like him. But I'm gonna admit, he's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, he is hilarious.
God, I know I haven't asked you for much in this life. Granted, I was born rich and white and male and straight, except for that one time. That's Las Vegas. I mean,
He's good in this movie. He's great in Silicon Valley.
I do want to ask you though about one specific quote of his that
Okay.
he says, because Nolan mentioned and he asked he wanted to know how this made Jace feel.
Okay.
And
I think I know what quote it is.
yeah, it was when he's like buying, I don't know what he's buying, but something for like he's looking for gifts for the office for everyone there.
hey, what about this for Alan from legal?
Well, Alan's bald.
It's so hard to shop for the bald. Who are they? What do they want?
Hair.
How did that make you feel?
I mean, I haven't been insecure about being bald probably since high school, but I think Jason Bateman's response is the perfect answer. He's like, they want hair.
He does have that. He has a lot of great little answers. Like, I mean, obviously he's like playing everything totally straight compared to like the funny man TJ Miller. And that's like what he does in a lot of movies when he's in comedies. But I think Jason Bateman is like one of the like best at like that dry humor.
I mean, Jason Bateman, I love him because I don't necessarily think like he is hilarious. I think he is really because he's really good at comedy movies. He's really good at non-comedy movies, but I think he is very self-aware. He knows exactly what he can do, and he just does that well. He doesn't try to be some big personality Jim Carrey type
Yeah.
comedian. He's just like, just gonna say a little thing right here to kind of ground the situation because this is getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, he does. Like he has a lot of those good, like just really sane responses, but it's just the way that he says them. Like I always love in Horrible Bosses when he's like speeding, like the cops have the picture of him speeding the red light, like fleeing from the crime scene, and he's trying to explain what he was doing. He's like, I was drag racing, and they're like in a Prius, and he just sits there, and then he's like, I don't win a lot. Like that's like the perfect response. And he just says it like so normally, but it's just I don't win a lot. It's so good.
I love when at the beginning of the movie when TJ Miller's like, you think you could jump a car over the bridge? And Jason Bateman's just like, your mind is like a drunk baby.
Yeah. He just also has no filter. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like watching the outtake or the bloopers at the end of the credits, I was like, I don't know how these fucking guys do these movies. It would be so hard.
Can we agree that bloopers in the credits is just like the best thing? It's like the best part of most movies. Can we just have bloopers at the end of every movie?
Yeah, they do them when they do them. It's like an extra little treat. Or even like the Hangover others have all the photos.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking hilarious.
Which this movie did also. They did the bloopers and then all the
They
pictures.
did it both. It was a combined thing. It was perfect.
But I had two lines that I really loved from TJ Miller. The first one is when he says, "Shut the fuck door." Like,
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw it, I thought he said front door, but this time I watched it, had the subtitles, and I'm like, he says, "Shut the fuck door."
Yeah.
But then he has this like little monologue That was just so funny when who's the actor that that's the client they're trying to win over
Oh,
with
Courtney B. Vance.
yeah, he's great in this.
Do you know what he's from?
No.
Oh, he was on the People versus O.J. Simpson. He's the guy that played Johnny Cochran.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then he was in Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you saw that
I
too,
didn't see
but
that, but I did see the OJ one, and he was the best part of that show. He was
he
amazing.
was unbelievable. And I think he's a really good actor. And when he shows up in comedy, I always enjoy him.
Oh, and he's hilarious in this. But I love when when he gets the cocaine blasted in his face, and then he goes up to
So
TJ Miller
good.
and he's like, "Let's get fucked up." And then TJ Miller just has this monologue. He's like, when I drink, bad things happen. You know, my sister's horse goes missing. My car is covered in horse hair and blood. Fingers get pointed. Smoke PCP as a favor. Beach burns down." I'm like, what?
And he says it like looking off in the distance so
Yeah.
seriously too. That's what's great about it.
Beach burns down.
But I really love how he responds.
PCP is a favor. Beach burns down.
That ain't never been my problem. Come on.
And speaking of those two guys, another thing that's great about this movie is that it has just an endless string of one-liners and quotes, but it also it has so many moments of like physical comedy,
Yes.
like jackass kind of comedy, where like when TJ Miller slides down the stairs in the sled, it just eats shit, it hits the file cabinet, or when the other guy swings from the lights
Yeah.
and he just died. Like he died.
was like,
He
dude.
looks like he died.
I mean, he like not only like the lights just like he falls immediately, but it looks like he like hits like his neck, like the fucking like his spine
Yeah.
breaks on like fucking like a file cabinet. I was just like, dude, he's dead. But then it's great because they find out that he was fired earlier that day, which
Yeah.
is just fucking hilarious. And I love the whole thing with the cocaine. I think that's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite things in the movie. It's just like I love how he is for the rest of the movie because he just got like a fucking face full of cocaine.
Feeling
So
amazing.
much. Yeah, it's so bitter. There's also, I did want to mention Sam Richardson. He's the guy who's like, oh, my friend, he's a DJ. And then like when he shows up to the party, like he's the DJ.
Yeah.
I love that. And I loved him. He's the main guy in Werewolves Within, that movie I keep telling you to watch. And he
Yeah.
is so fucking good in that. I'm obsessed with him. And this is the first thing I've seen him in other than that. And I really love him.
Oh, yeah. I've seen him. I just can't place where I've seen him
He's
before.
so great every
So
time.
that's a good lead into the next thing I want to say. This movie has just an incredible like supporting cast. Like you have the main people, but then you have all of these other people that just like this movie does an amazing job of balancing everyone, and everyone has a time to shine.
They really do.
Everyone has a hilarious moment. Like you have Jillian Bell from Workaholics.
I love her and
playing
everything.
the pimp. Like
She's just
so
great.
like she's so over the top, but she's so funny. Like
She's hilarious.
I love when one of the sex workers like brings her phone over. She's like, 10 red carpet moments that prove Jennifer Lawrence is a sweetheart. Why would you show this to me? Like,
Yeah. So good.
And then Vanessa Bayer, she's the big smile girl
From SNL.
from SNL.
Always love her. She's fucking hilarious.
She has an incredible scene on Barry. She's also in that show
Oh yeah, on Barry. I forgot.
on Showtime. She has a show on Showtime that's like all about the shopping network, and she's funny in that. Karan Soni, who I think is the guy from Project X, the guy who hires the escort.
Oh, no, that's the guy from he's in Deadpool. He's like the taxi driver in Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different guy.
Are you talking about one of the guys that was making fun of him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The shorter and wider guy. Not the other guy
Gotcha.
who looks exactly like almost like Fred Savage.
Oh,
But like a
yeah.
cloned and shittier version of him. I've seen him in a bunch of shit and I'm like, is that guy related to him? And he's not.
So speaking of him, both him, Karan Soni, and then also a woman that's in a couple scenes, and TJ Miller, all in Silicon Valley at different points. And then is it Rob Corddry?
Rob Corddry. Rob Corddry, I don't know.
He's incredible. There's a
I
real
love
human
him.
centipede situation happening in the men's bathroom.
He's fucking hilarious. He's one of the reasons that I love Hot Tub Time Machine so much. I think he's fucking hilarious.
Then you have a great cameo of Jimmy Butler.
Yes, I didn't know who that was, but I was able to say it right when Nolan asked me last night, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, how do you know that?" And I was like, IMDb. I'm literally on the trivia right now. I was looking it up for the episode, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, what does he play?" And I'm like, baseball. And he's like, "No." And I was like, whatever." And there's a basketball eventually, I think. And then he was like, "Yeah, okay."
And I mean, there's other people, but I think my favorite small role, but just bats 1,000, is I think it's Fortune Femster as the Uber driver. She's incredible.
I love her every time she pops up in something. I also like watch a bunch of those Chelsea Handler shows on Netflix, and she's always in them. She's really good friends with her and Jennifer Aniston. So, and I just think she's fucking hilarious all the time. And like her bloopers at the end are even better. Like it's so good.
It's like, "Hi, I'm Carol. I gotta get home before I miss my stories. Hi, I'm Carol. I heard about Pearl Harbor on the radio. Hi, I'm Carol. I died in the beginning of Up."
Her lines are just perfect, and like at the blooper, she just like lists off like 3 or 4 good ones. I'm like, God damn.
That's just one of the reasons I love this movie. Like it gives so many like smaller comedians, like
Randall Park too.
Yeah, Randall Park.
I forgot to mention he's amazing.
He's so good. Like,
I love him.
Just the whole baby fetish thing. Like, yeah, this movie just like gives all of these like smaller actors a chance, like their moment to shine and be hilarious, which I think is awesome because like a lot of the time the movie is about the stars. And like this movie is driven by the stars, but like they have all these actors that just have these little moments that are just so funny.
It's Project X mixed with The Office, like the show.
I think the last person that we have to talk about is Kate McKinnon.
And remember that tonight, the decisions you make will have consequences that will haunt you for the rest of your professional lives. And so have fun.
This is her, you know, we said that Jonah Hill, everything he said in Don't Look Up was hilarious. This is her Don't Look Up. Everything she says, I'm laughing. I'm crying the whole time.
I'm watching her in every scene, even if she's in the background. Like I'm just everything that she does, she's the perfect HR lady. And like she's just hilarious. I love her fart in the meeting at the beginning. And she's like, I hate tension.
And then she has that part later where she's like, I've been farting the whole time.
And like the way that at the end when they do the bridge jump or they're going to and then they don't, but she's like, after they pull over, she's like, we could have made that bridge pantyhose. It's like, she's like such a badass by the end. I love it. Like she evolves throughout the night, but everything she does is just fucking comedy gold.
And the part when they do jump the bridge and it does all the slow-mos of the faces and then she's laughing.
Yeah, like
Just,
hysterically.
"Ah!"
She's like ready. That's what I'm saying. But at the very beginning, she's like just so ridiculous. And she's so good.
I mean,
I love her.
She starts off hot with the multi-denominational Christmas sweater.
It's so good. I love the whole thing. I think she's like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think she's hilarious on SNL, but like this is definitely the funniest she's ever been, I think. Just consistently where literally everything works.
Yeah.
She's batting 100 for 100. Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Batting 1,000.
Batting 1,000. Thank you.
Yeah, she's so funny in this. And like I've seen some other movies that she's in and like she's funny in those, but just everything in this. Like I have
It's like she did the whole bag of cocaine and now she's just on it for the whole movie. Like she's so like everything's just like on. It's so
like
good.
I have a whole list of quotes that are all from her and they're just all hilarious.
What's your favorite?
I think I mean her laughing in the car as it's spinning is I just explode every time I see it. But
Yeah.
I'll put 2 my two favorite. They both involve the van. First one is like her last line in the movie, like
Carol, I don't mean this in a creepy way, but get in the van.
but
So good.
but then also the when Jason Bateman, they're in the garage and he's like, "Can this thing handle snow?" She's like, "It's a Kia. It's the car God would drive."
Literally everything that I mean, even talking about like, oh, don't worry, it's not bird poop because she has all those fucking birds in the car. And she's like,
Yeah.
it's their genital secretions. It's like, ugh, what? That's worse. This movie's really great. I think like the only way to be disappointed is if you thought this is gonna be like, a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's so weird. Just this movie's forgotten because it's so good. Like I watch this every year. Oh, here I have one final story for us to close out on with this.
Okay.
Maybe this is why this movie's so close to my heart. Me and my wife, who I was dating at the time, saw this movie together, and we watched it. We loved it in theaters. Had a great time, and then we decided we're going to do a double feature, and we look at what's available, and there's a movie they're like, oh, this is a Denzel Washington movie, I'm sure it will be good. And we go in, and immediately from comedy, a hilarious movie, we go and see Fences,
I
which is
haven't seen that.
it's it's not a good double feature. It is
What
it's a
is
really
it?
it's a really good movie. It's directed by Denzel Washington, but it's essentially about a man who lives in like the 40s or 30s or something like that, and he's just a not faithful husband to his wife
Perfect.
and a bad father to his son, and it's
Good.
just not a good good way to end the night after you ride high on a comedy and then do that
Yeah.
about somebody just adultery and cheating. It's just not a good nightcap is what I'm trying to say.
But it is a good way to end a podcast.
Or at least a segment.
St. Nicholas is not coming this year. Instead, a much darker, ancient spirit.
Those are hooves. Elk or goat? What kind of goat walks on its hind legs?
His name is Krampus.
All right. So our final movie is actually a Christmas movie. Unorthodox Christmas movie, but it gets there.
It's very Christmas. It's all about the Christmas spirit, really.
Yeah. And so Santa Claus can take a seat because we're talking about Krampus today. Came out in 2015. And damn, this movie was fun.
Directed by Michael Dougherty, who like I hadn't seen anything of his movies, I think, prior to this. This was the first one I saw, and I just fucking loved it. But he also has done Trick or Treat, a good Halloween movie, and he also directed Godzilla King of the Monsters, weirdly.
That was the good one.
Yeah. So I really like him. I think he's really talented, but it's just funny to me that you picked a movie that you had originally seen in a double feature, and I did the exact same thing we didn't even like talk about it though. But I first saw this movie with a very weird double feature of like a bunch of friends were like drinking, smoking some weed. Let's watch a fun double feature for the night. And we chose The Witch,
Okay.
Robert Eggers' The Witch, which is a great movie, honestly, really good. But the first time, just not what we wanted. We had the subtitles on. It's very like slow. It's like it's just not the right vibe. So we started with that movie. We were like, what the fuck is this? We were so disappointed. And then we put on Krampus and it saved the fucking night. It was the best time ever watching this. And it was like even the scary and like gross things or whatever, it was like we were laughing throughout it, you know? So it was just a good time.
What an interesting choice. Like, yeah, let's all get together and have some fun and watch a Robert Eggers movie.
Well, it was the first one. We had never seen it. Like we
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it. All I
Okay.
knew was that people had mentioned it, and like me and my two of my other friends, we love to watch horror movies, and then everybody else was just like, yeah, whatever you guys want. They were drunk. They're like, they don't care. But then we put on The Witch and we're like, oh, I don't even know if we finished it. We might have even turned that off because like it was just not good for that. It's great when I rewatched it on my own. I was like, holy shit, this movie fucking rules. But not a group scenario.
Yeah, I wouldn't throw that on in a social occasion.
No, it was horrible. And if we would have seen anything else about it, I'm sure that we wouldn't have. But I think we must have turned it off pretty quick because you need subtitles because they speak in Old English. You can't understand them. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? It's really weird. So, anyways, Krampus
Oh.
saved the day. And I think in general, like, saves the Christmas spirit for me every year.
See, yeah, you did it the right way. You saw the serious movie first and then did the Christmas movie, whereas I fucked up and I did Christmas Party, then Fences, and
Not the same vibes at all when you swap it, but yeah, we were hoping that this would be the fun one to end on, and thank God we were right.
yeah. So I'm really glad you picked this one because this is a movie that like I've known about, and it's kind of just been one of those movies floating around in my head that like I want to watch it, but there's never been like a real driving thing to pick
Yeah.
it, I guess. And so why did you pick this movie?
Oh man. Well, I was almost it was gonna be either this or Black Christmas, which is the original,
Yeah.
which is another great movie and another favorite of mine. But this one felt more like it's Christmas isn't incidental to the plot. It's like all about Christmas. This is
Yes.
all about the Christmas spirit, believing, being good, not being naughty. And I feel like that it makes it more Christmassy to me, and a reason that I love it a little bit more than Black Christmas because that's more like where it just happens to happen during Christmas. You know, none of the plot revolves around Christmas.
It is kind of funny because yeah, it's very much a Christmas movie, and it's actually kind of like it's kind of almost like a propaganda in a way of like the consequences of not having Christmas spirit. Like,
Yeah, dude. That's what I like about it though, is that I've always been drawn to the darker Christmas movies or Christmas stories that are like a Christmas Carol. Like it's fucked up. I used to be scared of that shit 'cause it's like all these ghosts, and the third one always is horrifying with the big hood. It's like death. Like it was really scary shit. But I feel like that was what, if you are scared, then like it's more of a motivating factor for you to be a good person. I mean, just look at fucking Scrooge, obviously. It fucking works. And this movie, I feel like, as cruel as it can be, it's also got a lot of good heart, and it's like very much like a positive take on Krampus, as weird as that sounds.
yeah, I mean, first off, it's a great horror comedy.
It's perfect horror comedy because it's actually scary and really funny.
Yeah, like the cast. Do you want to talk about the cast first?
Yeah, we should talk about the cast
Okay.
because Toni Collette, Adam Scott, Allison Tolman, and David Kutchner are the parents,
Yeah.
and they're just fucking excellent.
I'm at a point now where if I see a movie that has Adam Scott in it and it kind of looks like it's a horror movie, I'm just going to assume it's a horror comedy because this reminded me a lot of Piranha.
Yep. He's really good in horror comedies,
Yeah.
honestly. He's got the right vibe for it. I never thought I would be like, oh man, like Ben Wyatt and Todd Packer, those guys should get together and make a movie. Because I mean, I love Parks and Rec and The Office, so I just always think of them as those two characters. But I thought that they were really funny together, and I liked their whole like relationship in this movie.
They're hilarious. I love when he's like, we should have gone to stay with my brother. And then his wife is like, your brother lives in a barn. Jesus was born in a barn.
He's got some really great lines in this movie, and he's just hilarious.
Well, the only survival training I need is my old smoke pole and a big fat box of buckshot that I keep out in that truck.
Honey, we said no gun talk at the dinner table.
This family needs a little gun talk, whether it's at the dinner table or anywhere else.
Like, oh God. Like he just plays exactly who he is perfectly. I do also think the kids are good actors too. And they're like, you know, I love the fact that like the main kid is like, I feel bad for him because he's the one that just wants the Christmas spirit and everyone's so mean to him.
I actually thought he was great.
He was really good, right?
I'm like, what is that kid doing now? Because like I loved him. I thought he was perfect.
I haven't looked up his name, but Max, that's the character's name in the movie. I thought he was a really good actor and like really the heart of the movie. And I loved everything he did. I thought he was really good.
I don't know if I'm saying this right, but MJ Anthony is his name.
He's great. He should be in more stuff. I thought it's also funny too that one of the, the two girls that like fucking their dad wants them to be boys. Like
Yeah.
I love those two, and they're like when they first get there, the mom's like, "Oh, they're just upset because the Steelers lost." Just so good. Oh my god, it's great. The kids, and then the one like the fat kid who doesn't fucking speak, Howie Jr.
Yeah.
Like, what did you ask for Christmas? Like dialysis? Because he doesn't fucking say anything. He just eats. But I do feel like this movie is just, and it like I don't know, the whole cast really delivers. I don't know the name of the aunt, whatever her name is, but she's really
Conchata
funny.
Farrell. Is that? I know who she is, but
She's
yeah.
been in. I was just watching Edward Scissorhands. She's in that too.
Oh yeah, she's in a bunch of stuff. Conchata Farrell.
She's funny. I love her.
Yeah, she had a couple great lines. Like, "Where's the dog? I need to get Mary."
Yeah, or like when she's like, "I'll see you all in hell." Showed that before they cart her off. I think that's what the great part about this movie is, that it starts off and you're really into like the family dynamic story,
Yeah.
right? And you're into like how this is all going to turn out.
Yeah.
But then we insert Krampus.
So it is incredible that Toni Collette is in this movie. Like,
Oh my god, I know.
and this was like I think this is like where she kind of dipped her toe into horror, because she did Hereditary a couple years later.
She also was in, I just watched the remake of Fright Night from like 2007.
Oh.
And she's in that, and Colin Farrell plays the vampire, lives next door. It's actually really good and really fun. But she was in that too, and that's also a horror comedy. So I feel like maybe she was just warming up for Hereditary. I don't know if she's been in other horror before, besides that, but she's really good in this movie. She just adds an extra, like she's just such a great actress, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, she is, and she does everything. Like her filmography is, she's like, I'll do all genres. Doesn't matter.
She brings just this incredible like realism. I love it when she loses her shit, basically. And also she's really good at screaming in this movie, and her eyes get really big when she's all freaked out, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's really good at looking scared. So I think she
Mm.
might have just, keep doing it. She does a lot of other she does everything well, but she's really good at acting freak the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I really liked from like the storytelling standpoint is like they built up to Krampus really well. Like the whole German mom and her grandma and stuff. And I thought like I was expecting him to kind of do what a lot of, cheap horror movies do, where they just kind of throw the monster in, but like they really built up to it. And I thought it was
Yeah, he's slowly introduced. You see his silhouette
yeah.
earlier, and like you see like parts of him, but you don't actually see him. And then technically, I don't know if you know this, but you never actually see his face because he's wearing a mask.
Santa.
Saint Nicholas is,
Yeah.
Santa's evil twin, basically. But if you like look, like you can see his eyes underneath the mask, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so he's basically Leatherface. That's fucking badass, dude. What the fuck? That's so. I love it. But yeah, the silhouette alone on the rooftops is freaky as fuck.
Yeah, that was really good. And the thing that was in my head the entire time watching this is like, oh my god, this has to be the sequel to Violent Night. Violent Night, I don't think we talked about this on the pod, but I saw it, and I think it's the most fun I've had at the theater all year. Like just the whole theater reacting to all the kills and stuff. I'm like, this is amazing. And now watching Krampus, I'm like, Violent Night 2, Santa Krampus deathmatch. Like, let's do it. It would be amazing.
That would be amazing, honestly, because I mean, yeah, but the thing is like, could the reindeer and the elves take whatever the fuck, like all these little creatures that Krampus has? Because they're all nightmares. I don't think I couldn't do it. It's
Oh.
fucking, they're horrifying. But I love the like little, like how he's supposed to be the evil Santa, right? The dark reflection of Saint Nicholas. And so I love how he still has like the same kind of flair and like style of like of Santa. They use all the Christmassy shit against you, which is like fucked up. It's so good. The creepy toys, the big Santa sack that he like that drags you to hell. Like Jesus fuck.
Yeah, and I loved the whole like lore that they set up of him taking the grandmother's parents, but like
Hmm.
he left her behind as a reminder. I'm just like,
That's fucked.
this is great. Like this actually makes sense. Like this movie actually makes a lot of sense in how they set up the story. Like it's not really a ton of plot holes.
No, and they also kind of set it up. I mean, just from the opening scene with Black Friday and the people stampeding through the store. I
Oh,
love that whole
that was
sequence.
my favorite thing. Like
Such a great start to the movie.
like I think I might just like on Black Friday every year, I might just play that scene. Just
It's perfect,
it's
honestly.
so funny.
It's true too. It's like when you see that shit, I feel like the opening scene basically like puts you on Krampus's side almost. You're like, I get it. We all fucking deserve to be punished. But I was like, that was just perfect. Like that whole sequence with the Christmas music. It's just
It's great. And I think holiday shopping mayhem scenes are just one of my favorite. Like that's one of the best scenes in Jingle All the Way.
that's why that movie's great, is because it is that fucking insane and it's so stupid how crazy everybody gets, right? But we
Yeah,
do it anyways every fucking year.
every year. But yeah, it's like, this is a prime example of a movie that like I don't go into like looking to dissect
Yeah.
everything with. And so when a movie like this has like a lot of just good kind of continuity throughout, I'm just like, oh, this is extra. This is nice. I didn't need this to be good, but because it's there, I like it a little bit more. It's
I
great.
appreciate it.
I'm here for a
Yeah.
good time and I'm having a great time.
That's what I'm saying, man. Low standards. It's a good thing. If you just like, this is a movie you would expect not much from. It's a horror comedy. It's PG-13, shockingly,
Yeah.
which is
I had
crazy.
no clue. Like when I was watching, I was like, this is rated R.
Yeah.
And
It's scary.
it kind of reminded me of like when I watched Jaws and it was like PG. I'm like, what? No.
There's
Get
literally a dude getting eaten alive in that movie, but nobody says fuck, so it's okay. Like the MPAA is really stupid about that shit.
Well, Jaws, that was before they had PG-13. So
Sure.
everything was R or PG.
It should have been R, man, but I feel like yeah,
This should have been R.
it should have been. I wish it was, but that was why they didn't. They had the only like I think the like main reason that they were able to sell the movie was because they agreed to make it PG-13.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
other
makes sense.
Christmas movies were like hard sells. People were really against them in the past, like Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. People were like upset with like the idea of like turning Christmas into a horror thing. So I think because they made it PG-13 and very Christmassy, I think that's why it's okay. But also I feel like it works still.
Mhm.
You don't need it to, but it was funny that they mentioned that they had more pushback on the fact of like when the aunt takes the kids to the kitchen and teaches them how to make peppermint schnapps. Like, remember, she's like,
Yeah.
pour it in here. And the little kid, Howie Jr., takes a sip. That was like a big thing of contention with the MPAA, but it was totally fine to show a child getting swallowed alive by a clown worm. It's like,
Yeah.
that's no big deal. But like him having a sip of fucking alcohol is a problem. What is wrong with the world? That's what I want to know.
God.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, man. That clown worm.
Okay, that's my worst thing in the movie. Like I was gonna ask you this at one point, but maybe we should just talk about what all the freaky creatures. Which one scared you the worst?
I gotta say, I loved that they went all like practical effects.
Yep.
It was like the gingerbread cookies, I think, were the only ones that weren't practical. Like they were CGI, obviously, but like
Yeah.
everything else was practical. And I loved it.
Me too.
What was the scariest one for you?
I mean, there's a lot. I will say Krampus is horrifying, but I think that goddamn I just wrote clown, worm, Jack in the Box with the teeth. The whatever the fuck that is, that's my worst nightmare. It's huge too.
And when it like unhinges its jaw like a snake, I was like,
All
oh,
those teeth.
God.
I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck? That is the thing. I was so horrified by that. And then yeah, you see the kid's legs sticking out of it, and it's like swallowing it down. You're like, oh my God. It was I was not surprised when I looked this up afterwards that Weta Workshop did the creature effects, and they're the ones who did Lord of the Rings and
Oh,
King
nice.
Kong. And King Kong, Peter Jackson's movie, has like some horrifying bugs in that sequence
Yeah.
that haunt me to this day. And I'm just saying that is also PG-13. These guys have a fucking gift. They're really good at making horrifying creatures. And I mean, I will say maybe runner up could be like the angel thing with like the creepy ass tongue. I hate things with the tongue. Why does everything have to have a tongue? You know what I mean? Like a really long
Tongues
tongue.
are the worst.
And they try to like get in your mouth or like your ear. You're like, oh God, like I don't need that when you're trying to kill me. Okay, that's just extra worse. But what was the clown the scariest for you, or what was this? What was the freakiest?
I think the clown is the no brainer scariest. Like
Never seen anything like that.
you
before.
could do a full blown like real horror movie with that thing. But I loved the gingerbread men, and like they're just like nice looking, and then like their expressions like turn evil, and then like how their expressions just flip, and like they turn angry, and then like they turn evil, and they get the teeth like when he sets the one on fire and it like dives at him, and he's just like "Rah!"
Honey, I just got my ass kicked by a bunch of Christmas cookies, so trust me when I say I can take it.
So good. I think it was great how he's fighting them, and then they're like throwing all the fucking like the nail gun, like firing it at him, and he's got like the cutting board or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so great. I also think the snowmen were creepy as fuck. How they kept appearing in the yard.
Yeah.
That reminded me of Dwight on The Office when Jim goes out and there's all the snowmen. It's like that's fucking terrifying.
And Pam's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't
Oh,
believe
God.
you.
It's so scary. That's what I'm saying. This was like the nightmare version of that, like 10 times worse. And then I was going to ask you too about creature wise. What the fuck is in the snow? Is it more worms? I don't know.
Yeah, that was one thing I was really curious about, and I was like figuring they were gonna reveal something at one point. But yeah, it's just like I was like, are they part of the crew, or like because one of them, like one of the elves or whatever, like they get eaten by the thing in the snow, right?
Yeah.
Because they're in the car, the kids are in the car, and he's like, I don't even know how to drive a stick. we have a Prius.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they just leave him with the giant fucking snowplow. Good luck, kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you're right. I was wondering that. I was like, are these snow sharks? Is that a thing? Sharks that live in the
Shark
snow?
avalanche?
Shark-a-lanche? I don't know.
Yeah, they never said anything about that. But the thing that I kept thinking throughout this movie, because it does a really good job of like being very serious and then being very scary and then being funny. Like
Yeah, with the same things too, like where you're laughing at them.
yeah, like this movie, the whole time I just kind of was like imagining the director was just like, I dare you to try and take this movie very seriously. It's like, I'm going to draw you into these really scary moments, and then I'm just going to do something real weird and ridiculous.
And
like,
wacky. Yeah.
Like when all of the elves come rushing into the house, like it's like this really tense moment. They're like, oh my God. And then like all the elves come and they're just like all practical and weird looking. They're just making all these sounds. Like I was like, this looks like Lord of the Rings, like the orcs, but they're just like, rah, rah. It's like
that whole sequence in general too is really funny because it is terrifying, but then it's also funny. Like, first off, like nobody knows where the baby is this whole movie. I did want to mention that this baby is like really on its own, like half the time, and then they find like I feel like I'm remembering the baby before they are.
Well, and they start that whole like it's an ongoing bit throughout the whole movie. They start
so
the whole
good.
thing off. They're like, "Where's the baby? Oh, I left it in the car."
He's like, aren't you missing? Wasn't there another child with you?
But yeah, it's
damn
just like
it.
an ongoing bit. Where's the baby?
So good. And then the kids are like, I don't know, it's not my baby. Fucking great. I will also say too, with the dog in this movie, Rosie, is really cute. And I normally hate when animals die in movies, but this movie and I the only other one I've seen that makes it kind of funny is Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's kind of funny because you see the cat in the walls and then like it's fighting a spider, but it looks like it's like punching it and stuff because then you see like imprints of them like on the ceiling and shit, and it's like dented into the wall, but you see it like where they're punching and shit. It's really funny. And this one, it's like you're kind of like, oh, go Rosie, but thankfully we don't see the dog die because you're like, that thing's not gonna be able to take that fucking clown.
Well, I was laughing that whole thing where they hear Rosie fighting the worm upstairs. I'm just like, this is so stupid.
Like, it's not gonna
it's
work,
like,
but I was like,
but
that
then
sounds
like,
great.
but then like it wins. Like it knocked it, like the worm falls through the roof. Like
Yeah.
it's like Rosie beat the shit out of that thing.
Well, she got eaten, but
Yeah.
yeah, but she did get it downstairs at least. But I love it when he's like, I think I can handle it. I just got my ass kicked by Christmas cookies. And then he sees that thing and he's like, oh God. It's so fucking horrible. Like the creature work is just so good that they really all are nightmarish things.
That I loved, yeah, I loved all the ways that like they had like a lot of nod horror elements to like other things, like the snow shark things. Like that was like Jurassic Park with the raptors and the tall grass, like just pulling people down and
Yep.
stuff. Is great. And yeah, there's like a lot of like classic like monster scary stuff. It's great. It's just such a fun time.
Yeah, but like when you're saying with the dark elves, when they come in to like pull everyone out of the house and they like wrap up the clown worm to like bring it back, and then they're like, oh, it's got the baby or whatever, and then fucking David Ketchner just jumps onto it and like grabs the tail before it like shoots out of the
Yeah.
house. And my favorite line is when Adam Scott goes, oh great. Like right when that happened. Wonderful. That guy just went straight to hell, wherever the fuck they're going.
Oh man. But
So good.
and I loved the design of Krampus.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Like he has hooves,
Big ass hooves.
and so he's like a monster. But yeah, like he wears the mask to kind of look like Santa Claus, but like hunched over, horns. Like thought it was great. You
Yeah,
know,
the long tongue again, I don't like it.
that was pretty gross.
Yeah, that was really gross. And yeah, the fact that you don't see his face, but you see those eyes and you're like, ooh, like I'm glad he wears a mask. I don't want to see what's under there. If that clown thing wasn't the star of the movie, like I don't want to know what the fuck Krampus really looks like. You know, it's probably 10 times more scary.
I was thinking that like during the clown thing, I was like, it's going to be hard for Krampus to be scarier than this thing.
Yeah, I know, but he does have that really, I mean, he's just terrifying to look at and like freaky, and he doesn't talk, so that really adds to it. I thought if he was going to talk, it might be a little iffy.
Yeah.
Sometimes when the big bad does at the end when they're a creature, but I love that they say he's not there to give, but to take.
And as he had for thousands of years, Krampus came not to reward, but to punish. Not to give, but to take.
Not only does he take this family, he takes the entire fucking neighborhood. I mean, who knows if they were all good or bad this year, but it looks like he took out the entire fucking area.
Well, remember early on, everyone in the neighborhood is on vacation.
Not everybody. Some they said most people, like I guess right near them, but there is like her boyfriend's house that she goes to. The main girl, she walks to her boyfriend's house and
Did she
they
actually
go there.
did she get to the house?
No, but when they go there
Oh, okay.
later to look for her, they find like the gingerbread man like with a knife through it on the fucking fridge, and they're like,
Oh.
"What the fuck is this?" Because it's like
Yeah,
clearly, and then their fireplace is all fucked, so like
that's right. Yeah,
Krampus
yeah,
already
you're right.
got them. But I'm like, that just seems like a shit end of the stick, man. He just comes in, I'm just in the area. Like, I'm not, what if you're not even like from this area? I'm just visiting. Like, do I have to go? This seems like some bullshit, but I don't think Krampus is one to argue with you.
Krampus, what's your collateral damage policy? Like,
I know, this seems like a lot. But also, I do feel like kids are so greedy now. I mean, granted, not that I hate kids, but I'm just saying that I'd love a good movie that they actually punish kids for being bad. I have to say, you know, it's like Willy Wonka. Like I love it. Those bad kids, they all get what's coming to them.
you sound like you're really riding the line of saying you like child abuse.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. That's all I want. No, but I also have to shout out the animated flashback to the
Oh, yeah.
grandma's childhood. I love a good animated flashback in a movie.
I wasn't expecting that. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah. Like, normally, I feel like sometimes those flashbacks are thrown in because they're like, oh, we're not going to hire kid actors. So we're like, we don't have time to shoot this. So we'll just do a voiceover thing. And it's usually like pretty cheap and dumb. But I actually thought it was very good.
Yeah, I thought the animation style was really perfect and really fit well with the theme of the movie and the other designs. I feel like it kind of reminded me of the one in the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
do that, and I loved that whole sequence.
one's
I
a
love a
good
good
one.
voiceover with animation showing you something scary. it's cool. I like dark
Mhm.
animation shit.
So there was a lot of good kills in this.
A lot of good kills for a PG-13.
And I wasn't expecting everyone to die.
They really shock you with that. Although, I mean, we'll talk about the ending and what that really means, but yeah, I was not expecting I think the way that it shocked me like a lot was the kids dying off first.
Yeah.
Like majority of the kids.
Yeah, like when the kid gets pulled through the chimney.
Yes, that was hilarious. Honestly, I mean, it was scary, but I
Yeah.
love that he like wakes up just from smelling the cookie.
Yeah.
And then he goes in and grabs the gingerbread cookie on a fucking hook, like a dumbass kid, and then gets pulled up. But that was actually like freaky. And then all the parents are trying to keep him in. It was like very like stressful.
Mhm.
It's not as much graphic in this movie, but it's like freaky and like terrifying.
Yeah. Well, then I think the scariest kill was the daughter at the
Yeah, the
beginning.
oldest daughter. Yeah, I didn't expect her to die first.
Yeah. It like that was legitimately like scary. Like there's no funny parts of it, and then like it ending with the Jack in the Box. Like I was just like, oh no. And then
We see that thing later full size, so I'm like, "Oh my god, is that what got her? Jesus Christ." And it was that small originally, it gets bigger every time it eats or something? What the fuck? I
yeah.
don't like that at all. The way that she sees Krampus on the roof,
Mhm.
and then she starts like, "What the fuck is that?" And then he jumps over to the other roof next to her, then she, like, starts running, and he's just running next to her, jumping between roofs.
Yeah.
That shit was good. That was really scary. I would have freaked the fuck out.
They did a great job of picking their spots to like use special effects and use practical.
That made a big difference, I feel like, because it's, like, obviously with the gingerbread, you kind of have to and, like, the roof, but it's from a distance, so you can't really notice it as much, right? With the roof jumping, it's, like, more of the silhouette, and it's freaky.
Well, and plus, the practical Krampus thing's huge. Like that thing
Huge.
can't move fast at all.
Yeah, there's no way you'd be able to, and then even just, like, having him, like, the actual, like, hooves and, like, feet walking around the truck when she's underneath it, you're like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Like, they're huge feet.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was a good one. The worm is obviously the worst.
Yeah, him swallowing the kid was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that was not how you wanna go. That was definitely the worst, but I don't know, like, I guess the other ones are more of, like, the snow
The
shark
snow
things
sharks, yeah.
or being dragged to hell by the elves. That doesn't sound fun, but the ant's like, "I'll see y'all in hell."
Yeah.
She's just ready for it by the end. "Ah, fuck it."
See, this movie being R-rated, I think they would have had some awesome kills.
Yeah, it would've been very graphic.
They had to really tone it down to be PG.
Yeah, PG-13, like, still scary, that's impressive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know The Ring is also PG-13 and scary, but it's like, nowadays, I feel like there's just so much R-rated horror, which is great, and I'm all here for, but when you can make a good, scary horror film and some graphic kills without showing too much, because 'cause they're graphic because your mind does the rest of
Yeah.
it, right? So that's what's really well done here.
Again, that's why I want Krampus to be in the Violent Night sequel, because the R rating for Violent Night is what made it. Like that
Yeah.
movie, the movie is violent. It is graphic, and it would not be as fun if it was PG-13.
Yeah, that's a movie that you want, like, that's you want that gore. I mean, I wanted it with this too, but I'm okay with it.
I want Krampus in Violent Night 2 because I want to see Krampus unleashed. Like,
That would be great,
let's
man.
get
Krampus.
crazy with it.
Yeah. Let's fucking do it. Well, so I hadn't seen Trick or Treat before this, which is Michael
Mhm.
Dougherty's other movie that like it has a real cult following. It's really great. It's like Halloween anthology, but that one's rated R. So
Mm.
I watched that afterwards and was like, "Oh, so this is what he can do with R." It was just even better. So
Nice.
I recommend watching that one, but this one is cool because it has kind of a weird ending where you don't really know exactly what's going on and people have like I guess there's two big theories as to what the ending means, but I was curious what you interpret from it.
So, yeah, when we were getting towards the end of the movie, I was wondering, I was like, how are they gonna end this? Like,
Is it going to be like the grandma where he's the only one left?
yeah, or like, because that, yeah, they kind of set that up, and then I was thinking like maybe there's going to be some sort of like he gets his Christmas spirit back thing, and then he undoes everything, and then they have a good little twist where kind of makes him believe that's what he's going to do, and then you hear Krampus laugh, and then he just drops him into hell.
I'm sorry. I just wanted Christmas to be like it used to be.
So the way I understood the ending or interpreted it was Krampus is a dick, and no one survives Krampus. He just traps them essentially in like purgatory. They're stuck in all of his snow globes.
Yeah, because he has all those Christmas ornaments with families on Christmas.
Yeah.
So that is one of the theories that's like they're doomed to repeat they're in a twisted version of hell and repeating Christmas for eternity. And
Yeah.
who knows if Krampus comes every night? Like Jesus Christ, that would be the worst. But the other one, which is kind of like what I interpreted as, is that they were given a second chance, and that the snow globe is Krampus's like reminder and also like his way to watch over them in case something changes, and he will drag them right back to hell. So he
Oh.
might give you a second chance, but it's like, I love that part at the end where everything seems happy, and then he opens the little bell that says Krampus, and then everyone like starts to like, you see that they're like, oh shit, they remember all of that, and you have to live with that. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
And so that's like the two big endings, because it is kind of ambiguous, right? There's no like yes or no, but I think the director has leaned towards kind of hinting that the happier ending is the true one,
Okay.
and that Krampus does give a second chance, but as long as they prove they learn the lesson, and then it sounds like that they keep up with it because he's fucking watching you. He's like Santa. I mean, I would. He's probably going to triple check his list every year now.
Yeah, I can see that.
I also I like the family and I like all the characters. So I mean, most of them, obviously, like some of the kids are like, oh, you're like, fuck that kid. But I kind of felt like overall, I was like hoping that they would, make it and get a second chance at life. I have a Christmas heart. I can't help it.
You're like, nah. Well, I got to see those kids die, so
At least I got that. I gotta love it when the kids. Well, I'm just saying. I think not in a creepy way, but it's a ballsy move to kill kids in your movies. I feel like that a lot of movies with kids in them and either a horror or adventure scenario, nothing ever happens to them, and they're always perfectly fine. And I'm like, how many kids would realistically survive any of these scenarios, right?
Well, it's more ballsy apparently to have children sip alcohol than to
Apparently.
kill them.
Yeah. You can show them get eaten alive by a fucking clown, but that's another. I think that's why I love fucking It so much. Starts off child murder right away. Georgie's gone, and he's like the cutest kid, so they're just not fucking around. You got to show that there's some risk, or else you're like, oh, all these kids will live, because that's like what happens in every movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, life's like Home Alone. Sure, yeah, like those guys couldn't take a fucking kid. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
overall, even though the kids die and whatever, it still has kind of a happy Christmas ending. If you choose to interpret it that way, it's up to you, I guess. But I think this movie is very much a Christmas movie.
Yeah. 100%. It's the most Christmas movie that we've talked about.
Yeah, which I guess doesn't say a lot compared to the others too, but this is like up there. I would say out of most Christmas movies, this is definitely, it's a rewatch every year.
Oh yeah. It's a good time. Kick back, have some nog.
Have some nog, some schnapps, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you merry.
So where's the nog? I need to get Mary.